Oh hey, look at me, still in the middle of moving, but I had an interesting question from a viewer on YouTube or Instagram. They asked, how would you draw in perspective on curved surfaces, for example, on the inside of a cylinder? So that's what we're doing in this video. Let us start by reminding us what cylinders are. When I was talking about ellipses, I recommended this exercise where we put down a horizon line. This would be this one. Then you start drawing ellipses. At the horizon line, the ellipse is technically flat, and as you go up, the ellipses start opening more and more and more until one point they almost become a circle. So this is when we have our guy here and they are looking up. Now the same thing happens if you start looking down. As you're looking down, they are opening up more and more and more. So now when we combine these, we sort of have a cylinder. This here is our cylinder, and then the inside is a little bit thinner, right? And then we come up here, and this is our cylinder, right? That's not really visible. Or if you look down, let me take a different color, orange. If you're looking down at the cylinder, this is the top of the cylinder, this back is more visible, and then let's say it goes all the way down, and then this would be the top. So these are our cylinders. Now, when we talk about drawing on a curved surface, what we're talking about is drawing here on this surface, right there. So if I draw something, it will have to follow these ellipses that I have there. Same down here. If I draw here, I will have to, oh, that's not the nicest line, but something like this is what I will have to follow. Now looking at this cylinder here, we have, and I'll change my colors, two faces that we can draw. We have an inside face that runs here on the inside. I'm going to draw it with dotted striped lines. And let me switch to blue. We have an outside face, which would be here on this side. So the whole thing is, when you draw on a curved surface like this, you have to decide, are you looking on an inside surface or an outside surface? You can also take this into two pieces. So we have the inside view once again and the outside. You can also call it concave and convex. Now, for guiding lines, we're basically using this, what we have here, right? So because our view in this case is not that extreme, I just have to replicate these sort of half ellipses here. All right, there we go. So this is what we have to follow here. And with the blue one, it's pretty much the same trick. So now if we want to draw, let's say we have a panel with some pipes running here, let's say like this, and they're fixated like this, and then we have some sort of vent there. Now if we want to draw this on either side, on the inside, which is concave, again we follow the red ones, and this is where we're either looking, this is usually we're looking down on something on the inside as well. So here we go, we would have this panel. Let's take a look at it again. We have the line goes up, then it goes to the side, and I follow this curve, right? So my lines here are curved when they are supposed to be horizontal. When they're vertical, they're straight, and then a little bit of curve back, going up horizontal again, and then I follow this curve that I have there. And then you can put these fasteners back there. And then this little box here, that is going to be curved as well. I follow these red curved lines. There we go. You can also give it a little bit of three-dimensionality, bringing the lines out a bit. There we go. Same thing here. Like you can see I already pre-drew this from before with the blue line. So let's move it a little bit away from there. So our drawing is going to be here. I'm following this line here, so I'm just gonna try and follow that. Same thing, I am in between these two curves, this and this one. I can very nicely follow that. Now there's the same technique. Here is going to be curved, then we're going up straight. This is too short for the curve to really be visible, and then this curve is visible again. Now let's just do this 2 more times. And then we can draw these fasteners. And then we draw our little box there. And our box should be looking this way. Now, something to keep in mind. In this case, we are looking down on the cylinder, and I want to draw this box. Now, I want a little bit of thickness for this, so I am going to draw it like this. Imagine the thickness here. Okay, now let's say we have this surface, and this surface I cut through the ellipse and is part of this little, well, maybe the green wasn't the best choice, but if I go a bit darker, then imagine this surface coming all the way out here. Now, how you get these lines, they usually go to the center point of that little thing there. See? Now, if I want to draw the same box, but then move it a little bit to the left, let's say I want the box to be down here, something like this, and conveniently here we already have the upper thing. Now, the same thing. As we had the surface here, let me go to a slightly purplish color. There we go, light purple. Now we're going to take this cut through here, as you can see, and the center point is somewhere there. Now, if I want to extrude this box a little bit outside to give that three-dimensionality, I have to draw the lines through these points to that center point. So if I come back to black again, I know, okay, this is one line, this is the other line, bring it down here. And technically here I have to do the same thing. So I shouldn't have taken away my purple. Here, let me take this elliptical tool, open it up to just a little bit less, that's what we have there. And this is going to be my bottom. And here the same thing, center is somewhere here. So I want to draw these lines, something like that. So if I go back to my black, I'm gonna try and follow this here. So this line, just follow in its elliptical motion, and then I come up there, and I come up there. And this is how you move like blocks like this around. We can do it one more time on this side as well. So let's say I want a block that is somewhere here, and we're gonna even push it a little bit over to the other side. So this is the not visible part here. We do the same thing. So this, let me not cheat. Let me make it a little bit lower. Again, I have to follow this. So I'm gonna go like that, and it goes around a bit like that. And here, to make our lives easier, we just use that one. Now, I'm going to use red both time around. Let's take a red color. So we have this surface here, right? So we want to extend this from the center point, comes here, and look, it goes the other way there. And down the same thing. This time we have to create our ellipse. I'm just gonna freehand it. It should come something like this. Here it turns, and then I follow that in the background. And it comes, oh, it could have been done a bit nicer there, I see. And then it comes into that. So the center point for that is somewhere there. Once again, I draw a line, goes out there, like that, and the other line goes out there. Now, I have these red lines, and I have to follow this ellipse line and this here. So let me just switch to yellow, just so you see what I talk. This line and that line. So if I switch to black now, I'm trying to follow that line and that line. So if we connect here, obviously everything behind this line is not going to be visible. So this is going to be our little box. And you have to think the same way if you're drawing this on the inside. Today's sponsor is a midday walk, because it's very healthy to go for a walk every day. Okay, same thing now on the inside, and I'm going to start in the middle as well again. And let's take that one. So let's say this is our box, and we're still looking downwards, so I have to follow this one, that line, and that line. So this is on this back wall. So let me just outline this so everybody is in clear. Like we're drawing basically on the concave inside part now. Now, what are we going to do? Same thing we did before, and I have to identify this here. So I'm going to have an ellipse that is sort of like this big. Yeah, slightly bigger because we come a little bit lower. So this is going to be my intersection for the top part. Let's do the same thing for the bottom part as well. So this is how big an ellipse is here. And because we're going down here, it's going to be a little bit bigger. And this is going to be then my ellipse there. So now, same thing, what is the center point? Somewhere here. I draw a line there and a line there. And here my center point on this surface is there. Center line there and center line there. And then you go back to your black and you just decide how thick you want this little outcrop to be. Usually if it's pointing at you, it's less thick. So something like that. And then let me make this a bit more comfortable for myself. This would be our little box that is coming out of the wall, as you can see there. Now let's do the same trick. Let's move it down a little bit. I'm gonna intersect, but that shouldn't be a problem. So here, and then from here I just follow this ellipse, goes probably there. Let me make it just a little bit nicer there. I'll pull up, and then with this one I will follow this line here, goes until there. I'm going to make a new layer just to be sure and choose this purpley color again. Let's do orange, so it's the opposite of green. Okay, so this line, as you can see, comes something like this, and it goes, if I follow the line all the way over there, goes around and will probably meet with this one here. We can say that the center point is there. So one line goes there, the other line goes there. Same thing for the bottom. As you can see, you can also like make it a bit easier on yourself. Oh, it's at around half point here, which means that this will meet at the half point. And you can always check it has to go here, through there, and let's see, through there. So we just come around half point. And then you know that the center point should be, this should be the half point. And then one line goes there and the other line goes there. And then we go to our black and we say, this is how thick we want this to be. And now we just have to follow this line, which is going to go there. And we follow this line, which is going to go there until it intersects the orange line. And this is how you pull out a little box on the inside as well. So we have inside, outside. Remember the same thing if you're looking at this from below. So we're looking up at this thing now, and we draw from the outside. I want the box here to there. Now I'm just gonna make sure to follow this line, like there, and here I follow this line from this point there. And just in case you don't know what I mean by following this line, basically you draw dots that are all the same distance away, right? And then you connect them. And then like that, you can bring those lines down. That's what I mean by follow that line. So I try to stick very closely to this line and try to keep the distance the same. Okay, so we have this now. So now I know like what you can do as well to make your life a little bit easier or faster. I don't know, whichever you want to call it. Like this ellipse, this here, is the closest to this. So what I can do is look at it. Okay, so this would be the center point of this ellipse, but it is this distance higher. So what you can do is you move it that distance higher. So I imagine this would be where I want to draw these extending lines, something like that. And now if I go for a different color, so we don't, or either confuse ourselves more or don't confuse ourselves, this ellipse will be the closest to this one. So let me just draw in this ellipse. Is sort of this. Okay, center point of this ellipse would be this here, but this one is this distance lower, so I just bring it that distance lower, do the connection again, goes that way and goes that way. Now we can switch back to our black lines and we just say I want it connected from here to there. That's part of it, and then I just follow the line to there. From here you just, from here we just bring it down like there, and now we don't need that. What am I doing? We don't need that fluff there, and now you connect these again, and with that you have this little box that jumps out and is drawn in perspective on this thing. Now everything is going to be a bit more interesting, of course, if you rotate these. So give me a sec, like as I did it here, but you use the same thing. So you see the ellipses and all you have to do is follow up and down. And if you have sort of like a 3-point perspective, meaning that. Now in our 3-point perspective, what is different is like here we had these straight lines. Now these straight lines converge somewhere, and we talked about that you have to sort of know where this does. So I will draw a couple of helping lines to know where it converges. And once again, just a quick reminder, like imagine this as being much more extreme. And what I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to see this line and this line. Okay, where is the half of this angle? Somewhere there. And then I half each angle again. So we have this angle. I'm going to look for the half, which is there. Now we have this angle. I'm going to look for a half, which is there. This angle, half, which is there. And this way I don't care about where exactly the vanishing point is, because these halves will lead to the same vanishing point, wherever that is. So that's what I did with these here. And now what you have to do is basically take this ellipses, and if you want to draw your line, it's going to be, let's say here, and actually let me not draw it exactly on that line. I'm just going to draw a line that sort of goes to the same vanishing point, and then close it there and goes up. Now this one you can make sure to the eye. I don't like it quite. I want it to go a bit more, because I see that the distance here wasn't the same as the distance here, but now I fixed it a little bit. So now comes the tricky part. Of course, I'm not going to draw this ellipse every time. What you can sort of do again is see this is the top, your top ellipse, and it is this distance lower than this top ellipse. So what I'm gonna do, the top ellipse central point I think is this one, and if I take this X lower, should be somewhere that. So I know there and there. Now the same thing here. This is my bottom ellipse, and this Y distance higher. So this is, let's see, center point should be somewhere there. So if I add the Y distance, that seems somewhere around here. So then, let me rotate this a little bit. I'm just gonna push that there and that there. And now if I go back to a black color, I know, okay, this is how thick I want my box to be. Goes up to this point, goes over to that point, there, and then up there. And then this is our box drawn on the inside. This is the only change in 3-point perspective, is that it is going to be a little bit more of an angled box, right? As opposed to just straight lines. You will have to think of that angle a little bit. And then the piping, it's basically goes the same way. I would say the only difference for piping in this case is that I did a pre-sketch with blue. As you can see, I wanted to make sure that I map out the lines correctly. So the horizontal lines are, of course, the edges of the ellipses as they grow up or down, and the vertical lines, where they stay vertical, but in this case, because we have that 3-point perspective, they all meet somewhere in one point. So I made sure to draw them a little bit at an angle until they meet. And then the rest is just, following the blue lines, the setup sketch lines, and build your piping system on top of that. And from there, of course, you can vary it. You can do all sorts of interesting things like thicken the bottom lines so you have a little bit of shadow as well. But that is all detail and not part of this video. The main thing of this video was to show you how you can draw on curved surfaces, and I was concentrating on the walls of cylinders inside and outside. I hope you enjoyed this little educative tutorial video. As always, I would love to see your questions, comments, feedbacks, all in the comment section down below. As you know, I read them and I try to reply as soon as possible. As always, I want to send out a big thanks to my patrons. Their contributions are really appreciated. If you want to contribute, check out the comment section down below. There you can find all sorts of links. Don't forget, we have merch now as well. If you want some Steve the Pigeon related merch, you can find it also in the description. But as always, the most important thing is that you folks have a great time, and see you in the next video. Bye bye.